hard, strong, reality. The wild woman and the vanishing wilderness. Wildlife and the wild woman are both endangered species. Across the centuries, the instinctual nature of women has been pillaged, suppressed, and buried. Much like the forests burned, the rivers dammed, and the lands bulldozed, the inner wilderness of women has been violated and reshaped to fit unnatural rhythms. The fading sensitivity we carry toward our own wild souls is no accident. It mirrors the loss of the Earth's ancient wildness. The neglect of old-growth forests and of elder women springs from the same blindness. Wolves, bears, coyotes, and wild women share a common fate. Misunderstood, maligned, and too often hunted. They are seen as dangerous, ungrateful, vengeful, yet these are the projections of a world terrified of instinct. Through years as a Jungian analyst, poet, and contadora, I have learned this. A woman's lost vitality can be reclaimed only through a deep psychic archaeology, a descent into the ruins of her inner life. There, beneath the rubble, lies the wild woman archetype, keeper of the instinctive soul. When we listen to her voice, the forgotten pathways of feminine knowing are revealed. Today's woman is tangled in endless obligations, conditioned to be everything for everyone. The ancient knowledge has been dismissed as out of fashion, and yet the hunger for it remains. My work, Women Who Run with the Wolves, grew out of studying the biology of wild creatures, especially the wolf, Canis lupus and Canis rufus. To trace the survival of wolves is to trace the survival of women. For healthy wolves and healthy women share profound traits: sharp perception, playful spirit, and fierce loyalty. Both are curious, enduring, intuitive, and courageous. Both nurture their young, their mates, their communities, and both, tragically, have been stalked, hunted, and misrepresented as greedy, dangerous, or lesser. The assault upon wolves mirrors the assault upon women's instinctual life. Origins of the wild soul. The idea of the wild woman archetype first revealed itself to me while studying wolves. Yet I also turned to the bear, the elephant, and the soul birds, creatures whose very lives are metaphors, offering glimpses into the instinctive feminine. I was born into a lineage that carried wildness in its blood. Fiery Mexicano-Spanish on one side, passionate Hungarians on the other. I grew up near the Great Lakes, surrounded by orchards, farms, and forests. There, thunder and lightning became my nourishment. At night, the wheat fields whispered their secrets, while wolves leapt through the silver of the moon, howling prayers into the sky. I knew no fear. We all drank from the same rivers. Even as a child, I loved the wild woman, though I did not yet have a name for her. I preferred the earth to tables and chairs, caves to parlors, trees to walls, for there I sensed God most clearly. The fields beckoned me to walk their paths, the rivers called after dark, and the forests demanded fire and story. The wilderness was my first teacher. A lightning strike taught me sudden death and the brevity of life. A litter of field mice revealed how new life softens the weight of mortality. From fossils and beads unearthed in the soil, I learned how deeply rooted we are in time. The monarch butterfly resting on my head, the fireflies like earrings in the dark, the green frogs shimmering like bracelets. These were my sacred ornaments. A mother wolf who killed her fatally wounded pup showed me the harsh tenderness of mercy and the necessity of endings. Caterpillars falling and climbing again taught perseverance. Their tiny feet upon my arm awakened the skin's aliveness. Climbing high into trees whispered to me of sensuality yet to come. Living as a disguised creature. I belonged to the generation raised in the shadow of war, a time when women were treated as children, as possessions. They were sheltered like fallow gardens, yet wild seeds always found their way in on the wind. Women's writings were dismissed, yet they glimmered. Their paintings were neglected, yet they fed the spirit. Lacking tools and space, they carved out hidden sanctuaries in forests, in closets, in caves of their own making. They danced only where no one could see them, in secret corners, in the woods, or while taking out the trash. Even their joy was suspect. Bright clothes and laughing bodies invited danger. Nothing, even the dress on their backs, was considered theirs alone. Parents who abused their children were merely called strict. Women whose spirits were exploited to the bone were said to have nervous breakdowns. Girls bound into corsets and constraints were praised as modest and graceful, while those who managed, in rare moments, to escape were branded bad. Like many before me, I lived as a criatura, a creature in disguise. Outwardly, I wore the expected mask, high heels that wobbled, hats for Sunday service, dresses that confined. But beneath the hem of my skirt, my great tail swayed. My ears twitched beneath the brim of my hat, betraying me from across the room. I never forgot the hunger of the soul, hambre del alma. Nor did I forget the deep, joyous song, canto hondo, the ancient melody that, when called upon, could once again set the spirit alight. The forgotten image of woman. Like a forest path that fades into nothingness, traditional psychology leaves little room for the image of a creative, instinctual, deep woman. It passes lightly over what matters most to her, her cycles, her intuition, her archetypal truths. At best, it is silent. At worst, it erases. For more than 20 years, this absence has led me back again and again to the figure of the wild woman. Women's struggles cannot be reduced to cultural diagnoses or neatly explained by intellectual theories. The soul resists such confinement. No, millions of women who began life as fierce natural beings have become exiles within their own cultures. The task, then, is not to tame them or refine them into acceptability, but to unearth and support the beautiful, instinctive forms of their psyches. Myths, stories, and folktales serve as maps. They sharpen our vision so we may follow the faint trail the wild leaves behind. They remind us the paths are not lost. They carry women deeper, guiding them to the farthest reaches of their own knowing. I called her the wild woman because the very words create a stirring at the door of the psyche. Llamar o tocar a la puerta, a knocking, a call to open. Across cultures, women recognize these words instinctively. To hear them is to awaken a memory older than time itself, our undeniable kinship with the wild feminine. Perhaps we have forgotten her names. Perhaps we no longer answer when she calls. But in our bones, we know her, and we ache for her. We were born into this bond. It is the ground of our being. The taste of the wild. The wild woman comes to us in flashes, mystical tastes of her presence that vanish as quickly as they arrive. A fleeting image, a sudden knowing, a moment of beauty so piercing that we remember, if only for an instant, who we really are and where we truly belong. She is felt in the great thresholds of life, during pregnancy, while nursing, in the miracle of a child growing, or in the tender devotion to a beloved garden or lover. She appears in imagination, in dreams, in the image of vast forests or the glimmer of distant oceans. She arrives through sound, the drumbeat that shakes the chest, the whistle, the cry, the music that awakens the heart. Sometimes it is a single word, a line of poetry, a story so true it pulls the soul into remembrance. And yet, once she departs, we are left restless, grieving, hungry. These tastes of wildness are both blessings and torment. They awaken such yearning that we are compelled to seek her again. We wander the woods, deserts, and snows, scanning the ground for her track, straining our ears for the faintest sound. We search for proof that she still lives and that we have not lost our chance. When a woman finds her trail, she may abandon the table mid-meal, leave behind lovers, clean her mind to its bare bones, break rules, stop the world itself, because without her, life cannot go on. And when women recover her, they fight fiercely to keep her, for with her comes the flowering of creativity, the